Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, especially on a Thursday, getting ready to wrap up. We are hoping you'll have a good time with us talking about not just the executive scorecard solution, right? Because this goes beyond just implementing a solution, but really more focused on practices and changes to the organization that needs to be a part of it, right? My colleague, Shawn Hart from Lubrizol will be joining me, and we'll be talking about and sharing what we did, how we got started, the service owner benefits, and showing those results within the executive scorecard solution. My name is Ribeiro. I'm a solution architect from Linium, and I've spent and been with the executive scorecard product since version 1. And for those who know it, it was when it was a white screen, back from those days up to today. I've also been and provided solutions around the HP product set for the past 10 years or so. And my colleagues?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Shawn Hart. I'm from the Lubrizol Corporation. I've been with Lubrizol for about 16 years, the first 10 of which were architecture, administration, and support. The last 5 to 6 have really been focused on service management, so process implementation, process improvement. More recently, service design, service definition, and service level management. So we're really going to focus today a little bit on how Executive Scorecard is really moving us forward as an organization. The functional tool and how we use it for strategy is changing the way we're talking about IT and changing the way we're talking to our customers. So we appreciate your time, and get started. A little bit about Lubrizol. We've been in the business for about 80 years. We're a multinational specialty chemical and additives corporation, working in 27 countries. We have about 9,000 users and about 300 or so IT people. And with our strong growth by acquisition strategy, what's happening is we're adding a lot of users, and probably like many of you, not a lot of IT people all the time. So the growth ratio is really the same, but that poses some challenges. So in the industry we're in, being multinational, how do we really understand what's going on? We're going to talk a little bit about that today.
And Linium, we've been in the HP sphere of solutions for the past 10 years. We are a platinum partner. We've developed solutions around the solutions ranging from service management, executive scorecard, PPM, VSM. The operations stack basically is the area that we have worked in. We have our experienced consultants that range the whole U.S., about 350 consultants throughout the breadth of the U.S. So with that, I want to give you a little overview of how we framed the presentation, just so you get a feel for what's coming. We broke it up into three chunks. A little bit about getting started. I wanted to give you all a little bit of grounding, how to get Scorecard off the ground in your organizations. If you haven't started it before, I wanted to give you a little feeling for why we're doing it and how we got really underway. Of course, the meat of the presentation is really about service ownership. However you've defined services, it's really irrelevant. For us, we'll talk a little bit about some of ours, but it's really about how do we derive some benefits for people who are looking at analytics for the first time and really consolidate some data for them. And lastly, we'll talk a little bit about some real results we've already achieved. We've had Scorecard up and running for about 3 months now. We've already got some pretty powerful results to show you today, which we'll talk about at the end of the presentation. And the conversation with the service owners and the transition and move into what are effective metrics, right? What are the things that really matter to us that we need to measure to really continue to improve what we're doing as an organization is very closely tied to the service owner benefits that we were able to quickly get off the ground. So getting started.
This was critical. I want to really address and give Johnny a little thanks. Having a partner in this endeavor was very critical. This is a high-level strategic tool. At its core, that's what it's all about. If you're looking at it from a purely, status reporting, bringing some metrics in and having a different way to slice and dice it, I don't know if it's really the best choice. But when you're talking about strategy, I really feel like it is one of the better tools out there. But working with Johnny and working with some of the product team from HP, we were able to really come in and deliver a strategic message to our CIO. The big driver we had was around a change in IT strategy, a customer focus, an outside-in approach that we were looking to move to.
So how do we get there? We had the traditional functional silos of applications groups who are running projects and delivering apps, and your network stack, your infrastructure teams, all kind of working separately. We needed a way to bring them together and start talking a little bit differently about our customers and their outcomes. Last year, we went through an effort to define all of our business services. We sat down with our customer-facing managers and asked them about their customers' business outcomes. Once we had defined that, a new question started to arise. How can you measure success from a customer perspective for the first time? It's a key differentiator for how our organization works. From traditionally speaking, availability of applications, availability of servers, up downtime, incident management, process management, this is a whole different way to run IT. And as a service owner sits down for the first time and starts looking at information a little bit differently and in context, they're able to start answering this question.
Yep. And how did we focus or plan to do that, and we're able to do that in this first phase that we've established? It was through the communication channel that we were able to engage with those service owners and truly taking a quick to implement and quick to value solution and not just leave it there, right? Having a series or a list of KPIs that are not context focused, so in other words, meaning something to those service owners and having their buy-in behind it and really having those individuals that are going to consume those metrics, right, that are going to really look at the information that we're making available to them and drive strategic decisions. If they don't have the buy-in and the understanding and really believe that that's actionable for them, you're going to miss the boat, right, in terms of implementing the solution. So what we were able to do and focused on quickly capturing that opportunity was to implement quickly a framework that could bring them value and get their feedback as a part of that process as well. We were able to consolidate them into the various persona-driven views that we interviewed each of the folks that represented those services within the organization.
And I do want to add one thing about that. The big win for this piece of software, and the reason I liked it so much, last year at this time I was actually at Discover looking at Scorecard again for the first time in a while, probably like some of you are right now. And I talked to some of the product team and to Johnny and said, does it really work? Can I really integrate to my data sources quickly? And I was as skeptical as the next person, especially the out-of-the-box stuff. We're a large HP customer. We have a lot of software. We have a lot of investment in software. I've been down that road before of out-of-box. But I challenged them. I said, I want to see if this can do it. Can we have it up and running in 2 weeks? And in a pilot environment, we absolutely did. We were able to bring that tool up in 2 weeks, connect into Service Manager, connect into the BSM pilot we were running, and actually bring that data forward to our CIO in a delivery. That was a powerful statement about software. It's just a different model, I think, from traditional software that I have been used to working with HP. So it was a powerful move forward for us.
Thanks. So some of the service owner benefits that we had as outputs of what we did together. Part of what accelerated this process was knowing what KPIs to bring to the table. Right? The experience that we have around Service Manager and really the operational decisions as well as the strategic decisions that get made around the more mature organizations when you've got your services defined, when you're really looking to continuously improve, helped us speed up some of that discussion and really bring those initial set of KPIs with their relative breakdowns and really work towards establishing that initial common framework for folks and get everybody on a similar vocabulary of what is it that we want to achieve as an organization, right? What are our goals that we want to do short-term and longer-term goals, and how do we leverage this, not as just, as Shawn mentioned, a reporting solution, right? But really a strategic decision-making and enabler for our organization and our service owners. So we were able to review some of those KPIs, make changes to them quickly, and the speed and ease of being able to do that and enable some of those end users as well so they could feel that they could do some of that self-service themselves. And we were able to establish that within the phases and objectives that we wanted to do for the quick wins, initial things that we could do that would really bring to light how this can foster that communication and strategic thinking within the organization, set us up for that initial phase.
So, we're talking about service owners in this section, but I did feel the need to start one level up because we got some good guidance there. Being that this is a strategic tool by nature, starting at the service owner layer is okay, but if you really focus one layer above that at your IS strategy and you start to think about how you're going to lay that out in Scorecard, it's really meaningful for a couple reasons. First of all, you can start to show your CIO a little bit of the work they've already done in a visual way, and that always helps. Helps to get moving forward when your CIO likes what he sees. So that's really why you start here. But you have this nice capability inside a scorecard to do cascading scorecards. And if you see in the blowout here, you've got underneath the top level dashboard that we're going to present to our IS executive committee. We have a link out to a fulfill order service, which is really a portfolio of a few services that we define with the service owner. And what this immediately does is when you click on that, it actually flips the screen from that high-level strategic set of objectives down into the more specific services that we're talking about here. So things like shipping and receiving, these are critical business services for the Lubrizol Corporation. If they stop working, we have problems. We're losing money. So immediately what this does is it drives accountability up for a service owner. So when they initially asked us, well, what does a service owner mean? What am I supposed to do differently than yesterday? Well, now they're starting to get a feel for it. As we define these metrics around your services, as we bring in these additional data sources one at a time, you start looking at them, they're now aware that the organizational level, the executives are looking at these metrics also, and they're driving the IS strategy. So it takes these metrics from a periodic review into really organizational strategy at the top level. Instant accountability from the service owner. If any of you are familiar with continual service improvement in the ITIL framework, there's a statement in that book that really goes something like this, that establishing service owner accountability and ownership is one of the most key and critical steps you can have to doing service management. So if you've gone on this journey like we have, the biggest thing you can do, aside from building processes, is get accountability from the service owner. You have to do it. If not, who's going to do the improvement? So once you've done that, you've really made a quantum leap forward in what you're trying to do from a continual service improvement perspective. And you can really make a difference for a customer.
And an important part of that message is also understanding that this is not a tool for finger pointing, right? It is really a tool for focusing on what areas of your process that you've defined, right, and the services that underlie that are good prospects for improvement, right? So it's about fostering an open communication and getting people comfortable and away from that paradigm of everything needs to be green on my status. Right? I've been in the PPM and PMO space for a long time, and the primary culprit there is all projects are always going great at the top level when you look at it. When you dig under the layers, that's when you find out where reality comes to the fore. Right? And what this is meant to foster is really and is part of what we're going to talk later from an organization preparation as well, is a change in the mindset, right? A comfort level setting around it's okay to see yellows, right? It's okay to see trends that need to improve, because then you're really seeing what's going on within the organization, as opposed to everything is green, everything is great until something falls apart or the wheel comes off of one of the sections. So what we did as a focus was to drive that conversation home and really get folks behind and understanding that this is also not just a solution, but a process change, a change in mentality, and really having the top-down communication come as well from the leadership, that we expect to see things that are in need of improvement. We don't expect to see everything green immediately, and what the main factor is, what are you doing about improving it? Where are the areas that we're going to focus to change that trend to an upward trend, to an improving trend? So towards that end, what we did is take some of the KPIs that are out of the box KPIs and further tweak them to make them meaningful to Lubrizol, right? To the service owners and to the team and the folks that are going to use it and consume it. I
had a manager once who told me there are no problems, there are only opportunities. That's really what we're talking about here, is taking this tool and identifying opportunities for improvement for people. And once you deliver the message that way and you get them off of the people are going to be looking over my shoulder, it's really powerful and it's really empowering, and a lot of the service owners really like it and embrace it once you start doing it that way. But if you do come at it from a status report perspective, you're going to have issues. So it's very important that you look at it as an opportunity. So, getting right to the heart of it, service ownership. So this is a service owner dashboard from our production environment. This is just a snippet of it. You see shipping, billing, order placement, again, these critical business services. This is tied back into Service Manager, so it's operational data. It's bringing in service desk and incident data, so interaction and incident, as an initial cut for them to get view of something they haven't seen before. We have BSM, we have Asset Manager. We made a decision not to bring those in just yet when we were first sitting down with service owners, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But as a service owner, the first time I see this, I'm going to jump right to, hey, shipping, this is a critical business service. I've got a responsiveness, it's yellow. What does that mean? I've seen this for the first time, I want to know what the yellow one is. The beauty of Scorecard is you can actually add relevant breakdowns for the service owner to look at, and you can see the spiky trends in that particular KPI. But now that I've got a relevant breakdown, I'm going to do it by assignment group. So this is an operational view that service owner's never had before of their service being handled across the organization. So they have a traditional functional silo of this fulfill order process team that handles tickets related to this service. And you can throw it out one more. And you can see that fulfill order process team is handling tickets in under a day. That was fairly okay for the service owner. That's kind of what I expected. I'm used to hearing that. But if I look down a little further, the service desk in Wycliffe, which is our global service desk, handling most of our incoming calls, taking about 4 times that. Something he's never seen before. I don't manage the service desk. Why would I ever know that? But the second you take that data and you put it into context, you put it into a shipping context and give it to a service owner, he's got a decision to make now. A very strategic decision. For my customer, how do I want them to, what are the expectations I want to set for them? Do I really want it to be 4 days? Probably not. I certainly don't want it to be 1 day sometimes and 4 days another time. That's almost even worse, because now I have no idea what I'm going to get. But immediately I'm posed with a question. Do I want to improve the service desk, or do I want them just routing tickets to my support team? As a service level manager, I know what I would pick. I know where I would go with this, and I would make that recommendation. You probably want to improve your service desk, and I can give you some ways to do that. Now your service owner is having a completely different conversation than just complaining about the help desk. The help desk doesn't do anything good. They're really in a position to know we need to create some knowledge. My functional team needs to create some knowledge for the service desk. Most importantly, I can see the results of that decision now. So I can see the improvement over time. I can see if I'm making a difference. Did that knowledge really work? Do we need to go back to the well and really have a conversation? This is transformational stuff. It seems very simple. But when you give a service owner this type of context about their customer and their business outcomes, and you can start to talk from multiple data sources in multiple different ways into performance, availability, operations, they can make all sorts of improvements that are very, very relevant to their customers. It's very empowering.
And it's about measured performance, right? So that's where you can find out where those areas, as Shawn mentioned, of core improvement and the decisions that you need to make to get there, where it might have been hidden behind siloed visibility into each of the help desk and other areas of the organization as well. Speaking a little bit more to context, because again, this is really what transforms the organization. This is what changes the culture. It changes all the conversations people have. Once you start talking about service, the conversations around applications and infrastructure, they start to come back together, and people start talking to each other again about a whole different type of solution. The functions of annotations and external links. First, if I'm the CIO looking at that previous metric from last month, I have an issue with that. I say, oh wait, that's bad. We want to fix responsiveness for our shipping customers. So the service center does some work, and the next time the CIO comes in here and looks at this and says, boy, look, it's better. That's good. But he can leave a note to that service owner saying, how can we keep this going? I want to make sure we're pushing this forward. And our CIO had some statements along the way with our service management organization around, I want to know what levers to pull. I don't have levers. I need some levers where I can pull and understand where I need to focus either time, resources, and sometimes just get pushing people in the right direction.
But this is one of those levers now that you can use to pull. And more importantly, some additional context. The idea of external links and additional information is very useful for a service owner. If I have a SharePoint site somewhere where I'm keeping information about my portfolio, I want to be able to link into that, but I want to do it in context. So if my CIO wants to know information I'm keeping over there, I can go ahead and click on this additional info and it'll pull it up. Specifically for this one, I had a link into Service Manager for the incident data that's relevant to this particular KPI. I will make a note though, the product team is pretty good. They've actually identified this in the new version of 9.4, and they have a data set view inside of the KPI, which is very powerful, and I would encourage you to check it out if you haven't seen it already. It's very neat, because the first question everybody asks is my data right? That data's not right. So that function's really great, and you should take a peek at it. But again, context of a service, being able to put all this information in one place so people don't have to go off and look for it, and as a service owner, that's very powerful.
Yep. And you're no longer relying on just separate means of communication. You can actually have that collaboration from a strategic decision-making standpoint from all those end users that have access to that either cascaded scorecard, right, or set of KPIs that we're all tracking against that we want to work on to improve. So part of what I think is a key message that we want to leave with you as well is the ability to take those KPIs that come out of the box and further tweak them to bring them home into what you need to measure, right? So we had KPIs that we were able to quickly take and basically twist how we want to see it to really bring data in. For example, if we want to look at interaction closure time, really by the length of those interactions, and have a graphical and view that we can basically roll up into a percentage of how are we doing in terms of those performance slots, right? And those are pertinent to Lubrizol and are really how they want to track their interaction performance, as opposed to setting the expectation or expecting that you're just going to turn on the KPIs and leave them at that, right? There is a call and a need to take them and make them context specific and actionable to those end users.
So I bookended this section of the presentation with the top-down metrics, and there's a reason for that. Again, we talked about accountability at the beginning. At the tail end, I want to bring it up from a perspective of not all your service owners are going to walk in your door and ask for this. Sometimes you have to chase them. Top-down metrics are one way to do that, especially when you're getting off the ground and you don't want to go building integrations to a bunch of data sources to get information. You want to build this top-down view in a way that you can identify additional service areas where some improvement might be needed. So you can identify it up and get some help in getting those people to come play in the big sandbox. Sometimes they don't want to. So this is one method to do that, but I also wanted to call out one of the most valuable parts of this tool that lets you drive this adoption quickly without a whole bunch of back-end integration. It's the CSV uploader. It's a little bit of technical, but I want to get into it because I think it's very important to people who are looking at this tool. For me, I am not a developer. I'm just one man trying to get the organization to change how they think a little bit. We have a team doing it, but in this tool, I'm the guy driving it right now. So for me, the ability to deliver on some key metric requests coming from service owners is critical. I have to do it quickly, otherwise they're going to start to lose faith that it's out there. So wherever this data is, in some cases it's in lists and SharePoint, wherever else, they have their own custom spreadsheets. I want to be able to put that same data into this context I've already given them. Once you start doing that, they start to really think outside the box with, where can I get all this data from? Where's some additional data I might want to see this way? So CSV Uploader is a very simple to use tool. You create a CSV with a couple columns, you go into Scorecard, you upload the CSV, and you very simply create a context. It's very undaunting if you've never tried it before. You go ahead and go forward. You go back into the tool, create a KPI, and you point to that context. So you see IS Scorecard temp. That was a CSV upload that I created with just a couple columns in it that really allows you to build specific metrics from those data sets wherever people have them and show them that information back in the tool. It does two things. It really drives adoption and awareness and different ways to think. And more importantly, it builds your pipeline for integrations. I can establish the value of a metric before I go build this complex integration to a back-end system. Is it really relevant to you now that you've seen it? Do you really need to see it over time? All right, if so, now they're going to make the pitch for me. I don't have to go sell this to upper management because they're the ones asking for it. The service owner is saying, this is valuable to me. We need to go get this data.
Yep, and that's part of what we recommended because this is a process, right? And this, the CSV upload is a tool to get you jump started there without having a significant or having to upfront put a significant investment, as Shawn mentioned, into those data sources, right? It's about fostering that feedback and communication quickly, and it's definitely something we always recommend for those initial phases for us to take advantage of, so that you set that context, that common communication language around those KPIs, and really get you jump started. You usually are going to couple that with whatever key data source was your primary objective. It's part of what we worked on in terms of establishing our initial objectives and the longer roadmap and other phases as well. But this is a key enabler that you want to take advantage of to really get those organization-driven KPIs and really strategic decision points out there, get them vetted, right? Get feedback, get buy-in, and get that quickly ramped up. So because you're talking about not coming back to those end users and saying, well, we've got some great ideas, we've got some great KPIs we're going to measure. We'll get back to you in a month and give that to you. Right? We're talking about come the next day or two, right? 3 days, and we've got this ready for them to review. They can interact with it in a sense, touch and feel it, provide feedback, tweak it, and be able to get some immediate value out of that conversation and driving those decisions. And then that, in turn, gets further bolstered by the core data source that you have as a target. In this case, we had service management and the service owner definitions that we were doing to underpin it as well. So showing results.
So, yeah, we have a few minutes left, and I really want to touch on these because I think they're critical to understanding how strategy happens pretty much at any level. A lot of you look at bringing in PPM, ALM data. That's one way to look at it from the financial aspect. This is an example of operational strategy around our client service owner. When we gave him this dashboard, we had some issues with the way his groups were organized, and they were doing multiple types of work in one team. You had your engineers and your support guys in one team. Nobody knew what they were supposed to be doing, so responsiveness was bad, so they had some issues. So we realigned that team, and we had the engineering team focus on creation of knowledge and reduction of incidents, very specific metrics. We had the support team focus on efficiency and first call resolution, so driving down to the help desk so they could do a better job. And what Scorecard did was allowed us to put those metrics in front of him and actually share them with his team as they move forward. And in just a few short months, we had a 30% reduction in incidents per month for that service. So the service owner really now understands across the board, 30% reduction of incidents across the board within a few months. And a 10% increase in first call resolution for those services. As knowledge was getting created, the service desk was doing a better job. These are huge things. Again, transformational for a service owner. He was ecstatic. He wanted more of this. And that's exactly what this tool can do for you when you start combining analytics and trending it over time. And the teams were happy too because he was giving them great feedback. Great job, guys. This is impressive. More importantly, it allows the next level of strategy. You can go down one level and look at, the next thing we want to do is move to a proactive state. We want to take some of those people who were doing reactive and have them put them in front of BSM. We have the Service Health Council. We want to put this team in front of it and become a more proactive organization. It's strategy in action. So just real high level for the outcomes. Obviously, the effort's been sponsored by the CIO. We have a different way to talk throughout the organization. We built some process owner dashboards, service owner dashboards, and high-level executive dashboards to really trickle down that strategy and that success up and down throughout the organization. Very powerful from an engagement perspective. And we actually have our Strategic Decision-Making Council looking at dashboards on a weekly basis now from a strategic perspective to see how these key metrics moving up and down as we're going week to week.
And part of what has gone into this is the education process, and as we've ramped up and been able to confirm the effectiveness of those KPIs to the organization and to those service owners, getting their confidence, buy-in, and participation, as Shawn mentioned, using it to make those decisions and having that become basically part of the wheel, right? That drives the innovation as well.
And real quickly, just to focus on the challenges and lessons learned here from an organizational perspective, you want to focus on quick wins to get this off the ground. Don't import everything and try and show everybody the world. It's not about all that wonderful things you can do with the tool. Get some quick wins. Focus on things you can accomplish. Prepare your management team for the change. It's important. And then obviously, don't focus on an individual siloed value to deliver this tool. Think of it strategically. Yep.
What you want to do is use that set of KPIs that you have, focus on that data source. So because of the flexibility and capability to pull in multiple data sources, you might be tempted to say, let's pull it all, right? Let's do it all. I want it all now. It's important to understand how to pace that for the organization and set up a roadmap for buy-in and involvement and maturity, right, to get there. Right? So we highly recommend at Linium to start off on one focused area, get those wins in there, get that combination of, as I mentioned, leveraging things like the CSV import to set the bigger picture from a short context, and then the longer term perspective of making this data source successful for those service owners if you're doing service management, or if you're doing one of the other data sources, if it's PPM from a PMO perspective, and starting in one of those data sources as a focus, and the related areas of improvement that you want within the organization, and then ramp out, right, and get those other areas and data sources just as we're gearing up and getting ready to do, right?
I do want to say, since we're out of time, that we're going to be around for questions. Johnny and I will be off the side. If you guys have specific questions for us, we'll be off over here. I do also recommend that you take a peek at the booths over there. If you haven't seen the tool before, take some time and go over. Aaron, Leora, and the guys, their product team's awesome. So go see them, talk to them a little bit about what's going on. I do appreciate your time today. Johnny has one more slide of information if you're interested.
That's the shameless plug, right? If you folks want any information about what we've been doing, we have webinars on the subject as well, and on the other areas of HP solutions that we work with as well. You're welcome to go to the below sources to get that information. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.